My brothers and sisters, may the Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus came to his native place and taught the people in their synagogue. They were astonished and said, "Where did this man get such wisdom and mighty deeds? Is he not the carpenter's son? Is not his mother Mary, and his brothers James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas? Are not his sisters all with us? Where did this man get all this?" And they took offense at him. But Jesus said to them, "A prophet is not without honor except in his native place and in his own house." And he did not work many mighty deeds there because of their lack of faith. The Gospel of the Lord. Undoubtedly, we can sense in a way the frustration Jesus must have experienced as he's attempting to teach this message and bring people to a deeper relationship with his Father, and finding over and over again, even with all the signs that are offered and the miracles that take place, that many are just blind to it. They don't see it. They don't recognize or accept it. And of course, we have the classic example today of his own hometown. They can't get past the fact that he grew up there. They can't get past the fact that his father's a carpenter, and they just cannot believe that all these things that are happening and being said about him are even possible, given the fact of who he comes from and where he is. And so we find, sadly, precisely because of this lack of faith, Jesus is not able to work too many miracles there. There's another part that has to happen in any kind of relationship with God. God intervenes, God invites, God offers opportunities, but he also requires on our part some sort of response or reaction and acceptance. It is the level of faith each time, if you recall, when any of these miracles took place, that is the reason the miracle happens. Jesus says over and over again, your faith has saved you. Your faith is what's made this all possible. And because there's lack of faith here, there's no power of God's grace operative. Though he could have done it, of course, God doesn't work that way. He always allows that kind of relationship to exist. Not that somebody's being forced upon somebody, but rather that something's being offered to someone. We find in the course of history, of course, this was the same experience many saints had. A classic example, of course, is today in the person of St. John Mary Vianney. By all standards, he was far from astute intellectually. In fact, they tried to have him leave the seminary a number of times because he wasn't able to comprehend Latin or to learn the things he was supposed to learn. And yet, because of his persistence and because of his faith, he was able to finish and was ordained, and they sent him off to a very obscure town in the middle of France. He spent his entire life there in this little town of ours. And initially when he came, the people were for all practical purposes pagan. Even though it was supposedly a Catholic community, nobody was practicing. And it was a real frustration for him, of course. And he just very slowly but surely, with a great persistence, continued to show his own faith to bring them around. And ultimately, of course, he was incredibly successful. It is said that at the height of his ministry there, he spent 16 hours a day in a confessional during the summer and 11 hours a day in a confessional during the winter. He became such an astute spiritual advisor and counselor. And so this man, who by the standards of the people around him and their expectations didn't seem to be able to do anything, accomplishes great things. He is the patron of parish priests, and as we remember him today, we're reminded that God takes all that we are, our limitations and our weaknesses and our foibles, as well as our strengths, and he's able to rebuild them and make and remold them into something marvelous if we allow in faith for God to do that.